Welcome to Tom Girl, where we talk all things sports, entertainment, fashion, and adventure. I'm JJ, and on today's episode, we're going on a little field trip to Gateway Cities Krav Maga in Habra, California for their women's self-defense workshop. Mr. Noi, the creator of the school, sat down with me to talk about what inspired him to pursue Krav Maga, the basic principles, the health benefits, and the women's self-defense workshops that he puts on quarterly, teaching women how to defend themselves against attacks they may be confronted with.
So tell me a little bit more about your backstory.
My backstory, let's see. I was a Navy veteran. Specifically, I was a hospital corpsman. I did a little bit of time with 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines as a combat medic in the infantry during the battle for Fallujah. In high school, I was a wrestler, and naturally, you know, those all led me to doing Krav Maga. So I was a wrestler in high school, and the Marine Corps has what's called MCMAP, Marine Corps Martial Arts Program. That's not necessarily that I pursued that, but when I was in combat with the Marines, they were training that, and then they said, hey, you want to train with us? And I said, yes. So I was training, and then after my tour with them, I ended up in Central California in a base called, an air wing called Lemoore, and there was an Army Combatives program there that I also inserted myself and did a little bit of training. Fast forward to 2007, I got out of the military, and I was looking for my next thing that I wanted to. I really loved martial arts and contact sports that I discovered Krav Maga shortly.
And then when did you have the epiphany that you wanted to build this amazing center?
Good question. So I want to say a year into my training, I was an orange belt. I want to say a level 3 going into green. There was a time when my instructor had said, we can use a male instructor for the kids program. And I said, all right, I'm not doing anything else. I was going to college, finishing some prerequisites for health sciences, going into nursing. And so I said I had some extra time and I had some free time. So on those hours, I gave my time to help out with kids. And it filled a void that I really missed. You know, it gave me a sense of purpose. Because the military actually tries to give you a sense of purpose, you know, when you're doing your job. And when I got out, I said, what's my next sense of purpose? And that's what it gave me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How does this, working with the kids here, and how does that fulfill that purpose for you?
Oh, I love it. I love working with kids. So I have more experience teaching kids martial arts than actually adults. So I want to say a good year before I ventured into teaching adults.
You probably get this question a lot, and I know when I was going to come down here, I had to look it up myself.
Sure.
Like, tell people what exactly is Krav Maga.
Krav Maga is a fighting system developed in Israel by the IDF. So, in not so many words, the Israeli military, right, is surrounded by countries that do not believe in similar ideologies as they do. And so a man named Emil Lichtenfeld was in charge of the IDF, and they tasked him with creating a system. And so Imi had a background of wrestling, boxing, and gymnastics. He used what he knew. Just like all military, they do have their own military martial arts systems, like Marine Corps has MCMAP, Army has Army Combatives, so does the IDF. IDF had Krav Maga. And so the birth of Krav Maga came from those basic parts, and then it evolved into larger parts of the system.
So what are some of like the basic techniques or like foundational moves that you teach people?
Can I do that sitting down?
You can tell me about him sitting down, and then you can show me.
Well, okay, so foundational movements of Krav Maga basically creates put yourself in a situation where you're defending from a more logical standpoint, right? For example, the Krav Maga fighting stance actually, the way I teach it is that you pretend there's camera lenses on your hands and you trace the other person's shoulders from one side and one side, which gives you what I would like to call a happy medium, right? So if somebody were to throw a straight punch towards my face, my reaction time would mimic and match, because I'm creating I'm buying time using the distance that I create. So if my hands are pretty much forward versus like really close, my reaction time from the extended hand actually gives me the ability to stop punches more, if that makes sense.
So if I came in, you'd do.
Yeah, I'd be able to stop my hands. So let's try this, okay? So you wanna play this game?
Yeah, I wanna play
this game. Okay, so put your hands right here, right? Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do, okay? I'm gonna touch your chin like this.
Okay.
Feel? Okay, so I play this game with students called Gunslinger. I put my hands here, we'll put our hands there, and I touch your face, right?
And I'm trying to stop you?
You're gonna try to stop it, right?
Okay.
So it's time, distance, and reaction time for the average person, right? So you and I are not elite athletes, or we're not Olympians, right? So our reaction time is not like mastered like athletes. So we are going to need and rely on our own, right? We have to create walls around our castle. If that makes sense. You see that?
Okay.
Try to stop it.
Okay.
Right? Okay. You catch that?
Yeah.
Right? So I'm gonna be able to touch the face every single time. Versus if you were to just bring your hands up for me. Okay, so keep your elbows down, but point your palms at my shoulders like camera lenses.
Towards you, flat out? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now if I were to do that, don't let me touch your chin. Okay.
Okay.
Here. You get what I'm saying? So that's
yeah.
what we're trying to accomplish is we're using a happy medium, right, of distance of our shoulders onto theirs, and we're creating a way that we don't get knocked out, because getting knocked out leads you to more violence that you don't know of, right? If that. Yeah.
All right, so tell me the difference between striking and grappling and the advantages of both.
So striking, in not so many words, is using parts of your body as a blunt force, right, to nullify a threat. And then grappling is using somebody's energy against them via non-striking contact, if that makes any sense, right? So there is a floating statistic. I'm not sure what the true number is, but in MMA they do say that 80% of fights end up on the ground. So if you think about it, a lot of human beings fall under what seems to be like spirit. You've heard of spirit animal. So like some people are more strikers, some people are more grapplers. Some people like the skill set of Muay Thai better than they like the skill set of Jiu-Jitsu. And I'd like to think that Krav Maga has a very good balance of both, right? Because if you're out in an altercation and the guy is a better striker, then it gives you a grappling skill, right? That helps. And if the guy actually is, let's say, has a wrestling background and you're in an altercation with this person, you're having a balanced skill of striking would actually help.
So what are the health benefits that people will see when they start training with you?
So from the moment you first step on the mat, you'll achieve a good balance of cardio training, and intensity training, and endurance, and strength training. Not to mention, because of some of our skill sets here, you do achieve a little bit of functional training, if that makes any sense, right? So like getting up off the floor is very important for not just a self-defense measure, right? If somebody were to take you down and you were getting a fight, you're trying to stand up. It's also something that we do require at home, right? Something as simple as putting on your shoes and standing up and getting out of bed. Actually, if we don't, the more sedentary of a lifestyle that we lead, the harder it is to move. So basically, if you don't use your muscles, then you lose it. So Krav Maga is a very good skill because you get a multitude of all tools, right? So you have your striking, like I said, you have your grappling, we have some weapons defenses, and we have some weapons offensive training here as well.
Tell me more about the different training classes that you offer.
So we have a kids program at about 5.5 till preteen. We do have an adult program here. We do have a Teens Explorers program that we do with our La Habra police within the city. So we do have a program with them. Let's see. We used to have a teens class, but I found that we have a better, we yield better results by putting teens in our adults classes because they tend to model from the adults. Versus if we were to keep the teens together, they would usually just get kind of stuck in the mirror. So they like doing this.
Taking selfies of each other.
Yeah, and a lot of teens, they tend to want to look for their identity. So they don't want to look bad around peers. So within that age group, they're a little bit more hesitant, especially if there's mirrors around. So we want to pull them out. Yeah.
And then like today, you're doing a self-defense class for women.
Yes,
Tell me
ma'am.
more about how that got started and how long you've been doing that.
How that got started. So ever since we started our business here, we would host a quarterly seminar specifically tailored for women's self-defense. And primarily because the lowest amount of demographic that trains on the mat for martial arts is women. And I do see it and I realize that. And so what we're trying to accomplish here is that we can get more women and be more confident on the mat. Thankfully, we're pretty lucky. We do have a large average of women here. Sometimes we do have like 70% women in our classes. So it really does. I think what our formula is doing is working very well. Not to mention we foster a very family-like environment. That we do have some fathers and sons training, some fathers and daughters, some mothers and daughters, and some siblings who do train together on the mat.
These workshops that you do, I know we know just in Los Angeles and many cities across the country, their crime rate has been going up, you know, recently with all the events in the world. So do you recommend these classes are something that just like an average day, everyday woman should have these tools in her back pocket in case she gets attacked?
Absolutely, 100%, 150, if not 1,000%. So they do, you know, apart from just techniques, we do talk about situational awareness. Excuse me, you're not making me comfortable. How things develop, right? In our women's self-defense seminars, actually, we do talk about what leads into that. So for example, you ever heard of a script? Do you know what a script is?
A written script that I read, yes.
Correct. Pretty
yes.
easy. Okay, so life falls under what's called a script, right? So if I were to say hi, you would say,
hello.
okay, if I were to say, how are you doing?
Pretty good, how are you?
So think of it like the small talk that people go through in a daily life is a script. So your life is also a script. What's the first thing you do when you wake up?
Wake up, roll out of bed, brush my teeth.
Correct. So would you agree that it's about the same almost every day?
Oh yeah.
So our whole
very
life,
structured.
Our whole life is structured under a script, right? And so where that applies to our everyday life in self-defense or the normal person is that violence also plays a role in a script. So the best one that I can describe is the cafeteria scenario where two kids, right, has a crush on a girl, right? So you've probably seen that in the movie already, right? So what happens between the two kids?
They get in a fight over the girl.
Exactly. So let's talk about the script. So maybe you've seen it, maybe people have seen it already, right? So the kids are all the way across. Maybe one guy's a jock, the other guy's the cool guy or the bad boy of the school, right? And then they lock eyes because they saw that they have an interest in the same girl. So they get proximal, just like, you know, two monkeys fighting over supremacy of the tribe or whatever, right? And then the first verbal, which is like, hey, what are you looking at? And the other guy goes, hey.
You.
Hey, you, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
And then they get closer, and then they start what's called a monkey dance, right? So within that monkey dance, that the violence accelerates, and nobody wants to back down because they want to call each other's bluff. And so once they're face to face, what happens next? Predict.
They're gonna get in a fight. Somebody's gonna throw a punch at some point.
So somebody's gonna push first, and then the kid's gonna throw a punch. So just like I said, right? So violence also falls under a script. And that script on its own is actually called social violence, right? I heard this from, I read this from a book by the name of Rory Miller. It's a very good book because that one paints the picture very well. And then there's another kind of violence, which is called predatory violence. So social violence is, think of it like two lions fighting over pride. And then asocial or predatory violence is based on violence that's lion to a gazelle, right? So social violence with like two lions in a pride fighting, usually one gets beat up really, really bad, but nobody dies. Versus predatory violence, you know, one gets to eat and the other one dies. So all of the above pretty much fall under a specific script, and it's good for the everyday normal person to actually see the signs before it happens.
And then through your workshop, they'll learn some moves. Like I know, like I go to a park in the morning, and somebody has been attacked there. Early. It's 5 a.m., dark.
100%.
So if they come to your workshop, I would learn if I came to your workshop, I would learn how to like defend myself against something.
Absolutely.
Like that.
So you'd learn some contact self-defense. We also do talk about strategies. Let me paint you this picture. So a girl at a bar, right? It's probably out with her friends, and then there's usually some weirdos and creeps over there, right? And you can't just easily say the best practice to get home safe is to not even go there, because people do have kids, and these kids do grow up, they do go to college, and it does pique their interest to immerse themselves in different environments, right? So the best practice is that we need to arm them with tools, right, to get out of a situation, and get out of a situation intact, not just physically, but also psychologically and mentally.
So how many women do you usually have, like, per workshop, and how often do you do them?
Per workshop? I believe it varies. You know, we have the smallest we would have probably around 10, but we've had some to the effect of like 30s and 40s. Yeah, which is, you know, they're very good seminars.
And how do these women feel like when they end this workshop and they're walking away?
I'd like to think they feel great after, you know, and very empowered, because at the very end of our seminars do include some practical applications, some self-defense, and, you know, lots of girls cheering for each other, and yeah.
And what do you love so much about Krav Maga?
I want to say everything about it. I love training. I love being in the trenches with my students and being able to train with them, because I would say, you know, your abilities as somebody who practices this is a continuum, right? So if I'm not training, then I'm getting worse, right? If I'm training, at least I'm either continuing my education, being able to keep up, or I'm getting better, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
And what are the different levels?
Levels, let's see. Traditionally, there would be, I believe, 7. So we have what? So the system that we have here has white, yellow, orange, green, blue, brown, black, which is 7 levels, which matches the original Krav Maga from Israel's level 1, level 2, level 3 through level 7. So once you hit a black belt, it goes in degrees. Yeah, so first degree, second degree, etc.
How long does it normally take somebody to get all the way up to that black belt?
To a black belt?
Yeah.
A good 5.5, 6 years. Some longer. Some roads are longer than others. Yeah. Sometimes injuries, sometimes you can't test, sometimes you don't have your act together.
Lots of variables.
Which all has happened to me. Yeah.
Awesome. So tell me, for all those out here now who are just so excited to take their first class and join you, how can they find you?
All right, so we are in the city of La Habra, bordering Whittier, 2430 West Whittier in La Habra, California, 90631. We do have our social media pages. We have Instagram, Facebook. We do have a Yelp page if you guys are looking in that app. Let's see, you can find us also on Google and LinkedIn.
All right. What's your Instagram handle?
Our Instagram handle is at GC Krav Maga. The letter G, the letter C, KRAV MAGA.
All right, everybody, check it out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
I mean, taking this self-defense workshop was truly amazing. Mr. Noi creates a very fun and supportive environment, and you leave with such a feeling of strength, empowerment, and confidence. These are life-saving skills that everyone should have in their arsenal, and I highly recommend you take a workshop for yourself. Thanks for watching and listening. You can follow Tom Grohl on Instagram, Facebook, the website, and be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss anything. See you next time.